What's going on, good people? Adrian Homeboy Holmes here to welcome you to the new season of Super Gamer Book Club. New season? Where's the old season, I hear you say? Well, you can find all the episodes of the old season from our original book club host Zetch on our Patreon. And you can also find the newest episodes of season 2 with host me, ding, on Patreon as well. Me, Garrett, and a special guest every month choose a game and we go over it and talk about it in a shorter, more informal kind of setting. It's almost like we're just hanging out and telling what we liked about the game, what we didn't like about the game, so on and so forth. So we decided this is too cool to sit behind Patreon for all of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the older episodes and put them out on this free podcast feed for you guys. And if you want to check out the new episodes of stuff that we're doing, you can go and subscribe to our Patreon for only $1, and you get the brand new book club episodes when they come out. That's all I got for right now. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I hope you come to see what we have on Patreon. Take it easy and enjoy the show. What's going on, good people? Here we are again, episode 11 of Super Gamer Book Club. Can you believe we've been doing this for 11 episodes? I didn't think we was going to get this far. I really thought, Gary, you were going to be like, all right, nobody's listening to this. Hang it up.
No way, dude. We do it for us. We don't do
That's
it
true.
For the listeners. Screw the listeners, you know? No, I mean, wow.
No, what are you doing? I have a wife and 2 kids. This episode, we are covering I guess it's not a hidden gem anymore. I feel like everybody knows about it at this point. It sold a gajillion copies.
Do you? Yeah. I feel like with the announcement with the remake coming, to be honest, I heard a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I gotta go check out this Crisis Core. Like, where can I even play this?" Like, people, I don't know.
Are you saying people aren't hip?
People definitely aren't hip.
Well, I see. I've
been
corrected.
Positively.
This episode, we're covering Crisis Core: Final Fantasy VII, which is a prequel to the worldwide beloved, everybody's first love affair JRPG awakening, Final Fantasy VII. And of course, it's me, your host, Adrian Homeboy Holmes, joined by my cohort and our captain, Mr. Garrett Morlang. How you doing tonight, good sir?
Me?
Yeah, you. Oh, there he is. He said the thing.
I'm doing good. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm awake. So doing
that was pretty
great.
good. You were quick on your feet right there.
Oh, I've been playing that all day.
And of course, our esteemed guest. I don't know how he would like to be introduced, so I will say that he is the host of Video Games, a comedy show podcast, also acclaimed award-winning director. See, I know. Mr. Jeremy Schmidt, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
How we doing?
My signature catchphrase. Yeah, baby, yeah. Adrian, what a delight it is to see you sitting here in the king's seat, the host's seat. I've only ever gotten to talk to you on mic when someone else was the host, like you coming on to one of our shows. So it's a privilege and an honor to see you hosting this show. You
flatter me, good sir. You flatter me.
Of course, I listen to Super Gamer. I listen to Super Gamer Boys. I've seen you do hosting before, but I haven't been there.
Right.
Stipulation.
Now you have to. Now you're stuck.
Yeah. I didn't want you to think I didn't listen to the show. I listened to the show. I like the show.
Okay.
I like the show.
I never had any doubt. I never doubted you.
I did a little.
Oh, okay. Just saying. Is that why you put me on this? Setting me up to fail, huh? You're supposed to be setting me up for success, boss.
It's a test.
So,
that's all.
Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII is, well, I guess up until a week ago, was a 2007 PSP exclusive game developed by Square Enix. It was directed by Hajime Tabata with a gang of Final Fantasy names you know and love that it would take me 10 years to go down the list. But just trust me, they're a solid team. So as of, what's today, the 29th? June 29th, 2022, after a decade and some change of speculation, this game is now finally receiving a remaster / remake that is going to be on modern consoles and PC. It's finally getting, I guess, based on Garrett's information, the recognition it deserves, or that it needs, especially in the shadow of the big dog Final Fantasy VII remake / rebirth / whatever the third part is. So we are actually, I at least am very excited about that news. I don't know if Garrett, you're probably the newest guy here. Does that do anything for you?
Oh yeah, hearing about this remake, like I was in the midst of playing this, and I had already been enjoying my playthrough of this, but hearing that, I've told this story before, but with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I had never played the original, and I jumped into Remake Part 1, not knowing anything about it. Even like back in the day, I just never owned it, never into that thing, and boy, it swept me off my feet. Like it blew me away. I fell in like head over heels. I was all for Final Fantasy VII stuff.
Yes,
and
got
so
him.
We got
like
one.
when you got me playing Crisis Core on PSP, I'm like, dude, this is legit. I'm really liking this. And when I heard about the remake, oh man, I'm stoked out of my mind because I mean, I saw just how incredible the remake was of the main game, and not that this game, and we'll talk more about it as we get going, is terrible to play, but dude, like to get some updated controls, updated gameplay mechanics, graphics, like all sorts of stuff. Oh man, I'm stoked. So yeah, I can't wait. Even though I'm a newbie to this, bring it on. And this winter.
Yeah. Out of
crazy.
nowhere, dude.
Yeah.
Jeremy, let's nerd out a little bit. You and us old men, old Final Fantasy veteran men. How you feeling about that remake,
soldiers,
good sir?
Us, I'm about the Final Fantasy VII remake or about the Crisis Core announcement?
Crisis Core remake.
Crisis Core remake. Yeah, so not quite as dramatic of a facelift as the Final Fantasy VII remake, obviously. But definitely, I also just finished this game for the podcast, and it was just like, I couldn't be more excited about getting a modern day version of it because, like, while it's not, like Garrett said, it's still very fun to play on PSP, and it's definitely tailored around the hardware of the PSP. I'm not going to argue with better graphics, better combat system potentially, and then also putting it into the canon, the overall canon of the Final Fantasy VII remake. They're kind of Star Warsing it a little bit. I feel like this is Final Fantasy VII is its own Star Wars, and that we're like the remake hit, which kind of feels like a Force Awakens a little bit. Then we got the Crisis.
Now we're getting the prequels.
The prequel kind of retcon, like it's like they're fixing the timeline in a little bit. They're making it all cohesive. And again, huge fan of this Final Fantasy VII remake, so I have no reason to doubt that this is going to be a bungle. I think this is going to be, I think it's going to be good. And anyways, I'm going to play it regardless.
I was going to say, I mean, it's fine. They could have, just said, "Oh, it's coming," and not showing me anything. I'm like, okay, I'll pick it up when it drops.
It also could have been, it could have been a port as well, and I would have been, oh, great, I'll play that on my TV.
Yeah, it's upscaled. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's like. It's not in, what is it, 240p anymore? Yeah, I'm down with that.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a little teeny tiny.
Right.
Yeah.
So for the uninitiated, if you're just listening to this because you dig us for some odd reason, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII follows the livelihood of a young man. How should I say? Who not exists? I mean, he exists in the world, but he follows the exploits of a young man in a military complex conglomerate, we'll say, named Zach Fair, who wants nothing more than to achieve his life dream of becoming a hero. And he does so under the tutelage of his teacher, Angeal, who tries to teach him about the personhood of being a soldier or a soldier candidate, which is like what would you say, Jeremy? Like a upgraded meta-human in a sense.
Well,
That's a super soldier.
it is a super soldier, but that sometimes the reason why you're hearing Adrian kind of trying to piece it together is because it isn't exactly black and white clear stuff we're talking about, right? A soldier is not necessarily someone who's been injected with Genova cells, even though every single one we deal with in this game has been injected with Genova cells. But that sometimes would trip me up, especially as a kid. I'd be like, wait a minute. So like soldiers are Genova projects? No, they're Mako infused to the point of making them like where they can use better materia. They're like, on the field, they're like better combat. They also like look like Dragon Ball Z characters as opposed to everyone else who just looks like a PS2 NPC,
It's almost as if they, a soldier upgrade gets you more graphical resources as well.
You might say that.
But of course, Zack is on his journey to become a hero when he finds out that his mentor has gone missing while they were both on a combat mission, and he has no idea what may have been going on. I'm not going to recap the whole thing because it's going to take forever. I just wanted to give
keep going. This is great.
Yeah.
Where he finds out that his mentor has gone missing, and he has no idea where he's gone. So he goes and talks to the big cheese of the military corporation, which, if you want to get real nerdy, it's the basically, think of if every corporation in the world was like one big one, right? That's the Shinra Corporation,
all under Disney,
right? It's Disney in its final form, right? And now Disney has its own private military force, and that's what it is.
Yeah, totally.
And
and
instead of mascot characters, they're hulking,
yeah.
extra fast, extra strong soldiers.
Yeah, they are drinking your milkshake on the daily basis.
Yes, and lifting 300-pound swords like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, of course, he coordinates with one of Angeal's old friends, who happens to be the later in canon villain of the Final Fantasy VII saga, Sephiroth, who somehow, we'll get to it later in the story, doesn't put together that he may be a experiment as well, even though he's like 8 feet tall with long flowing silver hair and cat eyes. But
and his mother's name happens to be the same as the alien's name. I don't know.
He does have cat eyes. Yeah. It's funny because you spend so much. I mean, a backdoor point of this game is that you spend so much of like the original Final Fantasy VII and extended universe hating this guy Sephiroth, and in this game you see him as a human. And I gotta say, like, this game is a very 2007 game with 2007 writing in it, but it does make you empathize with Sephiroth as a human, and as kind of like you said, like, how did he not put this together? He's feeling that way too. He's like, wait a minute, how have I not noticed this before? Like, you see him start to deteriorate and struggle over the game, which is yeah.
So basically, the plot of the game follows Zack trying to find his old mentor while trying to find what exactly is going on that made his mentor defect from their military operation and try to basically start up his own terrorist. What I should say freedom fighter, because Shinra's awful. So
yeah,
his own freedom fighter.
They do. I mean, Avalanche calls themselves terrorists,
right?
For sure. They consider themselves terrorists, and people recoil from that word, obviously, because of 9/11. But freedom fighter, terrorist, rogue group going up against the man. Yep.
And basically, he teams up with Zack's mentor. Angel teams up with one of his and Sephiroth's childhood friends to start this paramilitary group and try to overthrow Shinra for what they've done to not only them, but countless other people in this soldier program and in this military force, because it's basically bioterrorism in its most laid out form. That's the overarching plot of the game. I don't know if you guys want to sprinkle anything on top of that, but that is kind of where we're at.
You gotta say the word Genesis once in the explanation, just because he is the main villain of this game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's like this other guy who I think like kind of works in the story, kind of doesn't, kind of like is like half in, half out of the story a lot. Like he's
on fire when he's reading that love list, though.
Yeah, so he's really into that play. But he's the main villain of this, and he is a conduit or a stand-in for what Sephiroth is in the OG game. Like he is that in this game, just as just as aloof, just as weird
I'm
and ghost.
ethereal.
Yeah.
You can kill me? I don't know.
I
don't
read
know if I can
poetry.
die.
Yeah, and he's and he basically is a mirror to like what Sephiroth will become, kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah, almost in the end, like a catalyst for propelling Sephiroth into that position.
Yeah.
A lot going on in this game, man. It's going to take me a while. So, what I wanted to get at basically is Angeal and Genesis are somewhat justified in their actions, or I guess in their response to finding out that they were no more than genetic freaks, I guess, or experiments. That's not what they signed up for, because they were all near or embryos when they were experimented on. That also includes Sephiroth. So all three of them, Sephiroth, Angeal, and Genesis, were experimented on as either fetuses or extremely young babies. Sephiroth was experimented on by Professor Hojo under the project name Genesis S, and Angeal and Genesis were experimented on by Dr. Hollander. I think that's his name, right? Hollander.
Yeah.
Hollander.
Under Project G.
For Jillian.
Also, for Jillian.
Yeah.
And it's discovered basically that Dr. Hollander is a hack.
Yeah.
For better or worse, and he ended up botching the experiments with Angeal and with Genesis, and it's forcing them to solid snake themselves, and they are rapidly disintegrating. And
Angeal though is the perfect one, right? Like
Sephiroth is.
That's crazy.
Angeal, I think Angeal
has the best. He has the best conduit for his cells. But Sephiroth is the perfect experiment with those cells.
Yeah.
It's almost like there was Genesis, and then they iterated, and like Angeal's a little bit better, and then in the end, Sephiroth was like the perfect one.
Yeah, because Angeal's not. I think he deteriorates himself, right? Doesn't he sort of like self-sabotage? He like glues a bunch of monsters to him.
Yeah, all those monsters when he puts them on.
I thought I even read somewhere too that he was like, he would live a normal life. Like Genesis is the one who's actively decaying, but I also could be wrong about that. I think
when he started working with Genesis, and he was given his cells to like start fueling those clones and stuff like that.
Okay,
that's when he started his degradation.
Yeah, and when you were kind of breaking it down and like them being justified in like their actions kind of against Shinra. I think it's really cool that like you as the hero and you as the player in both games, FF7 and Crisis Core, you're never really on either side of that. Like you are always the person caught in the middle between the war between this company and these experiments gone wrong, and you're just like trying to save innocent people's lives and stuff. Like that is your primary function as both Cloud and Zack, you know?
Right. I care about my mentor and his friends, but at the same time, I don't want them to go and blow everything up just because they're mad at the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout this mission, you're also assisted by Shinra's espionage arm, which is different than their military arm, named the Turks, of which you hang out with about 3.
Yeah.
Because 2 of them...
Well, 4. Sung,
Yeah.
Reno, Rude,
Cisne.
and Cisne.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Throughout the story. So they kind of keep tabs on the targets that Shinra is looking to eliminate or to use for other capital gains. One of which is Zack's love interest in this story, another Final Fantasy VII character, Miss Aerith Gainsborough, who Zack really leans on to keep it all together throughout this game, because boy, does he really, get close and intimate with her and kind of share what he's going through. And especially after Angeal's unfortunate passing, he really leans on her for support and while he's mourning. I thought Aerith was really good in this game. I mean, I don't ever think she was a bad character, but I think her understanding or her willingness to understand Zack, even though she has a apprehensiveness towards Soldier and towards, Shinra and all these different kind of complexes, I think that shows a lot about her maturity as a character. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah.
But I really dug.
Yeah. There's a little bit of that, like these characters are characters you've seen before if you grew up watching anime. Like they feel like Mobile Suit Gundam characters or something where it's like they're a little one note a little bit, but that archetype, right? And he's an eternal optimist, but he's down and he gets, it's like the world kind of beating him down, and she is like a comfort, but she's also wants to go see other things, has big aspirations and plans for herself. And she makes a really great, foil for Zack. And what I love so much is that it's a different foil than what she has with Cloud. Her relationship with Cloud is way different than this. And we get to kind of see how Zack isn't really that much of a mirror of Cloud at all. He is his own person, which is made even more messed up when you consider what Cloud ends up doing with their history in the main game,
Yeah.
Taking Zack's whole thing,
His
lying.
whole, I love the way somebody put it. I was reading people's comments about it, when he got the Mako poisoning. They were like, Cloud just basically did a hard reset and just downloaded all the stories that Zack was telling them while they were on their way to Midgar. Yeah. I was like, yep, that's pretty accurate.
He talented Mr. Ripley's him, he just takes his whole life over to kind of again, but he was like that you even see him, he's like that as a young soldier guy. He's already telling, he hides his face because he told his friends and family that he was a bigger deal than he was, and he doesn't want them to know
I already made
there.
first class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what I did.
Oh man. Favorite part of the game for me by a mile is Zack.
Nilmheim?
Just any when Zack meets Cloud, anytime Zack and Cloud are hanging out.
Oh yeah.
Their relationship is so cool to me. It's always accompanied with really great piano, orchestrated music too, to accent the.
This is a tender moment.
Dude, and they're just they're buddies is what I love. It's not even affectionate or dramatic. It's just they're friends, and it's cool to see.
It is, but it's also so odd to see Cloud with so much personality. Because we, once we get to Original 7, he's more of a nobody matters, nothing matters. I'm just kind of here, and whatever you need me to do, get out of my way. So
yeah. The other kind of anime archetype, right? It's brooding.
That definitely. So that when they first introduced Cloud, just totally caught me off guard. So I had no idea he was in this game. I don't know. I haven't played. Yeah, so I haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII, and I haven't played Crisis Core, any of the spin-off games. Anything.
That's why I'm tiptoeing so hard, because I'm like, I could say that, but.
I might have
accidentally spoiled something. If you guys need to say something for the show, go ahead and say it for the show. I don't care. But it's
knowing that, it's better. I know that because I can talk around this stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so when they first he takes his helmet off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Cloud. Are you kidding me? That's freaking amazing. It blew my mind. I was not expecting that at all. And because just not knowing any sort of history, even because at the end of Remake, they show a brief little vision of Zach, which I didn't even know his name. This dude with black hair carrying Cloud. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is that? Like, what is happening? Like, it looks like Cloud, but it's not. Like, what? And then yeah, so I agree. Like, every moment was like so cool. I love how like a lot of the scenes, like when they're talking back and forth, like Zach just has the biggest smile on his face. Like, he's always looks so happy. Cloud,
finally,
like,
somebody I can talk to.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's such a cool relationship that they have there, and yeah, it almost makes me want to go back and now play Remake again, you know, being like, okay, like kind of picking up on things, not only, you know, in Cloud's personality or even like some of the flashbacks that you see in the game, but even going back to, you guys were talking about Aerith, like just picking up on like little things on like what that she says or does throughout like the remake. Knowing that she had a relationship with Zach, like I didn't realize that either. I didn't know she was going to be in the game. When they dropped into church, I'm like, what is happening? Like, we're back.
I was gonna say you should go back and definitely replay. You know that section when you first meet Aerith and you guys are walking through the slums.
Yeah,
that dynamic. Now that you know this information about her and Zach, changes that whole thing so much.
Yeah,
because she can, with her extrasensory, I guess you could say, abilities, she can kind of sense Zach all over his memories, and so she can pick up that, you know, she notices that he's kind of almost a 1-for-1 copy of him, and it creates some turmoil in her as well because she wants it to be Zach real bad, but it's not.
Yeah, I would even go so far to say, play the original game as well and watch all 3 scenes and how each 3 scenes is handled, because they're all slightly different. They all inform each other because in the remake we might be with a different Aerith, you know what I mean? Like, so
that's true.
You know, you have all these different examples of this thing, and it's also cool to see her characterization just like evolve over time. Like, the best is in remake. Like, I think she's just so well done in the remake. But it's good to see this progression from the OG to Crisis Core, and like, you know, how the characters just kind of changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Over the apparent 4 years after they, you know, that 4-year gap.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing it back to the surface. We kind of ragged on this game a little bit because we were like, oh, it's on a tiny PSP screen, and you know, oh, you know, it'd be nice if it came to bigger consoles, which it is. But at the end of the day, for this being a PSP game, it is insanely graphically impressive what they were able to get out of that console with Crisis Core. I you know, I would check in with Garrett while he was playing, you know, throughout the month. And that's one of the big things he would always tell me is he's like, I cannot believe some of these scenes and some of these cutscenes and models and stuff like that are able to be done on a PSP.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's just like the basic generic cutscene where it's like just in-game engine, or even like they'd cut to like all of a sudden the very like cinematic 3D. And granted, it's just a video playing, but it's still just like, oh man, it's gorgeous. Like, this is so cool. Like, the battle between Genesis and Sephiroth was so awesome. Just literally slicing buildings in half and stuff. And then like the end scene too. Like, oh man, yeah, like it's incredible what they were able to do with the technology back then. Like, have it look as good as it did, even on that little screen. Like, I honestly I don't think I could ever complain about it.
It's like it's got to be one of the best PSP games ever made, I think. You know, it's
I hard agree.
Yeah. Garrett, what'd you play it on, if you don't mind me asking?
I played it on PSP.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
And so you had like a physical copy of the game?
Yeah, Garrett, did you have a physical copy of the game?
Never mind. Yeah, I played this game on. Well, I was going to comment to the fact that it's never been available digitally.
That's right.
Yeah, which is so crazy because the PSP even had a model that was digital only at one point, and so you just couldn't play Crisis Core on that, and they've never ported it anywhere until this announcement today. But I actually played it on a Vita. I played it on my OLED Vita, and I gotta say, right now that might be the absolute best way to play.
That's what I hear. I hear it looks extra crispy.
Yeah,
on that OLED.
It's. I don't know if you guys have seen an OLED Vita, but there's something.
Oh,
else.
I own one.
Something. Oh, you own one? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you know the magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have my UMD, so you played on. It was easier to just pop it in. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I had to hack that thing to get it, to get to do stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's it plays really, really great for being a single stick game. A single stick, like basically PS2 game. I have absolutely no complaints really with the gameplay and presentation and
top notch.
Yeah, just for that era too. Great. It's Kingdom Hearts battle system basically. So
yeah.
Compared to a few months ago, I played Portable Ops for one of the NPC, Super NPCs book club. Yeah, and man, the controls in that gave me the toughest time. Like, I was just beating my head against the wall. And so jumping into this and like being a third person like action, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And holy cow, they nailed it. Like they did such a good job in this game, way better than Konami did with Portable Ops. That was rough, and this was like such a night and day difference.
Well, Portable Ops was early in the PSP's life, wasn't it? When everybody was still trying to figure out how exactly can we.
Yeah, Peace Walker is much better. They actually do a camera in that. Like they add kind of somewhat camera controls, but I think this is one of the best cameras for this generation. It's just like. It's all it needs to be. It's just on that swivel, really. And you just use the R and L buttons really to just like kind of navigate yourself. And it just, I don't know, it's smooth. It's like butter.
I have no complaints about it, about the presentation, like we were saying, anything like that. Wow. I was not expecting to hear it was going to be played on the Vita. Jeremy, I was talking to you before the show, and you were mentioning there might be a reason as to why, or you were doing some research and you think you found a theory as to why Crisis Core has been imprisoned on PSP.
The big going theory is, so here's what happened. The game Dirge of Cerberus, which is part of this bigger thing called the compilation of Final Fantasy that came out back in the day, and it basically included all of these, like a mobile game, a movie, this, and Dirge of Cerberus, this PS2 game. All of that stuff, by the way, I think this is the only thing I like from it, truly. Like I like the other stuff, but this is the thing I love. Like I think this is actually like A+ material. The other stuff is like, I'm such a big fan, I'm such a big fan, I'll burden myself with this. At the end of the PS2 game Dirge of Cerberus, you beat the final boss. There's a cut scene that happens where basically Genesis, out of nowhere, this person you've never met before in the game, they walks out and picks up the main boss and flies away and has like a vampire's accent kind of thing, and it's Gact. So it's like the international, like Japanese superstar Gact is like who they got to model the character. It's basically, it's a gag ending. It's like, hey, guess what? This big celebrity is here all of a sudden, and like he's part of the mix, and it's like a secret ending. Well, the director of this game loved that so much that he made Genesis a character at all in this game. And so it was the same character, basically, just modeled them after this superstar, pop star, whatever. The rumor was always that they couldn't port this game because they would need the rights or to pay that same celebrity. So they would have to like completely do like a different character model for him in order to re-release the game. And I think, Adrian, you'd probably heard something similar to that. Is that right?
I knew that there was some kind of rights thing. I didn't know exactly the details of it, but at the same time, I always thought, well, if that's the case, then just make a new model.
Right. Yeah, right. And so anyways, that was always the rumor. I couldn't find anything to substantiate that online today. I was like looking, but it's like I don't know if it's one of those, playground thing kids are saying to each other. Right. But it made sense to me that like you wouldn't be able to, if you couldn't get the buy-in, like I'm sure that cost them Square a ton of money. And Gact might even have something in his contract about the game. Like he has
saying that you can't write me out or something like that.
You can't write, yeah, I'm in it forever. I'll collect on this forever and ever and ever. So that made sense to me, but I couldn't really find anything about that. They even ported Final Fantasy Type O to other stuff from the PSP, and that's not as good as this, I think. So it's like,
Right.
why wouldn't they? Why?
Yeah,
what?
there's obviously something funky here.
Something was going on. That was my suspicion because it was good. But I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's free now. I can tell you that. So
now did we? This is a little not really off tangent, just a little bit. Going back to the remake that's coming out with Crisis Core. In that trailer, did they show Genesis in the trailer or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember it now, but did he look similar to how he does in this game, or is it?
I mean, he
kind
looks
of a new
cleaned
design?
up like everybody else.
Like
but
everyone
you
else,
can tell
okay.
it's Genesis.
Interesting.
That's where I was going next. Is we kind of have we talked about the original plot, as summarizedly as we could. Do you guys think that they're going to do any changes in Reunion since now it's part of the remake timeline? I mean, they kind of have to because of remake's ending, but like, are they changing anything else?
Yeah, I think they will. I don't know, but I think they will. What do you think, Garrett?
Well, I heard some stuff floating around that, at the end of this game, spoilers if you haven't played it, but that's what we're doing here. So sorry. Zach dies, which again, that was like the saddest moment ever. Is watching that whole thing. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
it's a gut punch the first time.
Yeah.
I heard some talk, people like who really dug into the not only the new part 2 remake as Final Fantasy VII Part 2 trailer, but also just based off of stuff in the previous game, like he might be alive, like they might bring him back or keep him alive in some way, which I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't do a ton of research myself, but I'm like, all right. I mean, that seems like a huge change, and I don't know.
Dude, I'm seeing off the wall theories. I'm seeing like, what if now Genesis is the main villain for all of this,
right?
Or what if
for
all of it? Because now if Zach can live, then Genesis can live.
Yeah.
And then
if Genesis is in play, that means something different,
right? That's huge.
Yeah. I love all that. And honestly, maybe this is wrong. I think they're setting up multiple universe things.
I think so too.
Like,
I think Sephiroth is the key to it.
And I think Aerith and Sephiroth, I think they know what's up in the remake. They're the ones who like know who the ghosts are, the fate ghosts or whatever. I think what happens like when they first leave Midgar and then you see Zack and Cloud walk into Midgar, that has to be an alternate universe because Zack never makes it to Midgar. So And I don't know, and I think it's going to be different than the ones that we've seen before because I think all of this is sequel stuff. So I think Crisis Core will be like the prequel sequel to the whole story. Like that's just but that's just because we saw Zack in remake. If we didn't see him there, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't think that. But like because we see him in remake, it's like, oh, okay.
I think you were onto something earlier when you said, it seems like they're trying to jam all this and make it one real big Final Fantasy VII story. Just with the fact that they're spending this much effort to push remake or to push Reunion up to 7 remake standard and to integrate it now. I mean, we just said that you have to pretty much make Zack live or else it doesn't work. Unless your multiverse theory takes shape and then they do some weird cutscene at the end where Aerith steps through to this one.
So well, even at the end, like the stuff of Zack that we see in remake though, like I guess as like a new player, like I assumed it was almost just like a memory or a flashback or something. Like I didn't necessarily think it was like him being alive, unless I'm forgetting a certain cutscene or something. But and so when they first were talking about this Crisis Core remake, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I assumed it would be a similar story, but again, now that all this new stuff is coming out, I didn't realize there was a train of thought where people were like, oh no, like he's alive in 7. I must have misinterpreted those scenes or whatever. And but yeah, I don't know.
Are we blowing your mind right now?
I don't. This whole story is just like so crazy. Like I was talking to Adrian a couple weeks ago. I was just like, do I need to go play the original? Like, do I need to go play Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
Like before I play anything, like just right here, stop and go play 7.
Get
and then
you a foundation.
I can,
it's like it is like the what all this stuff stems from in a way, and so they're gonna be like riffing on it. In all the games, they're going to be ripping solos that are going to be callbacks to like stuff that happened in that original game. So no matter like what your theories are, they're all going to be derived from what that base story was.
Mm-hmm.
And they have and it's really scary because they already included Dirge of Cerberus into the DLC of Remake. Did you guys play the DLC of Remake?
No, because Sony hates me.
Okay. Oh, is it only PS5?
It's only PS5.
Oh, no.
I have it. I downloaded it.
Fans of this show have to get Adrian a PS5. We have to pull our resources.
We got to do it.
Well, you know what? Didn't Integrate come to? Didn't it come to Steam?
Yeah, I think it's on PC.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
There it is.
You got your new PC.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll just suffice it to say Dirge of Cerberus is now in the mix too.
Okay. Yeah, I downloaded it and never played it, so I need to get on that, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man,
crazy stuff, fun stuff though.
This is crazy.
What a game! What a universe!
People think all the multiverse and Marvel stuff is like complicated, dude. Like jumping into this world.
These guys wrote the playbook.
This is insane. This is so crazy.
Yeah. But I really do think it's modeled after that, though. I think they are Sony or Square Enix is really looking at like the big franchises right now for clues on how do you make one how do you really make your return on something it's like I have toys now of Final Fantasy VII. Like it's becoming more ubiquitous.
If they haven't made a return on Final Fantasy VII at this point, then I have some questions for their accounting department.
I mean, I'm being facetious. Like it's gonna become like a multi-million dollar IP. It's gonna be huge if they keep.
You think we'll get another movie?
That's a great question because I don't know. I'm trying to think from the compilation years because those weren't that successful. Like this was the only I think really successful game from that. Mm-hmm. I wonder what they look at those years and think what was our worst mistakes. Like I wonder if they go making a movie was a mistake. Like they, you know what I mean? Like
I highly doubt it. I guarantee you, Advent Children is making its way into Remake.
You do with those with those villains in it. Have you seen Advent Children, Garrett?
No, Adrian told me to get it.
Do yourself a favor.
It was on sale on Amazon a few weeks ago. So I think I got on the show. Adrian's like, you got to watch it. And I just went on Amazon. I was like, it's on sale. Boom, bought it digitally. So I haven't watched it yet. But
man.
I feel like I've been holding off because it's like, well, I don't know the end of the beginning story. I've only played part 1 of the remake. So again, I need to go play the original, I think, and watch Advent Children. Catch up a little bit.
Yeah, you're in for a ride.
It's absolutely coming.
You think so? Yeah, because that would mean they would. It's not a lot more to fold in, really, because it's all the post stuff.
It's the movie universe. It'll be its own thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I want them to make a movie. I want them to keep making all kinds of crazy stuff. Only because I do think they're doing a good job. Like if I didn't. There's not much in this that doesn't work. I have a complaint. You want to hear it? It's very small.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I don't remember in the movie Solo when we had to get a scene that explained how he got his name?
I love that scene.
Okay. So then you're going to love these moments I'm about to mention because they're the same thing.
I love it. I love it ironically.
Oh, I cannot stand making your universe smaller like that where you so everything is so granular. There's a scene where Zach Fair, he builds the flower cart that Aerith carries around in the main game, which is like, I didn't need a scene of him building
Zach built that cart.
Right. And then he names the bar Tifa works at later. He names Seventh Heaven in a cutscene. And I'm like, oh, you kidding me? It's just coincidentally that guy named that bar.
All the people in that district.
There's thousands of people in this city, and he named it. The guy
Not even Tifa picked it.
I know. I'm just
and
like,
she owns it.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
That was the most cringe cutscene because it gives you the options, like 4 different options or whatever in the game, and like I picked Seventh Heaven because I knew already, but then the guy's like, yeah, and then we get a barkeep that has like. I forget exactly what he says, but like something along the lines of like a huge rack and like slim by, like all this stuff. I'm like, oh, this is like,
and
really,
she wears
like,
red gloves and she punches real hard.
Yeah.
That'd be real cool.
It's just like, God, chill out, dude. Like, definitely.
And that guy got his
early
exact
2000s
wish.
Yeah,
he should be at that bar every day.
That's crazy. Yeah. Those. I mean, it's such a little nitpick, but it is like those things of just like. You're too
so
into
ridiculous.
your own. You're not trusting this story enough.
Your audience.
Yeah, like we don't need all those callbacks. Some are good. Some tasteful ones are really appreciated. But yeah.
No, I just I love that little moment in Solo. I can't help but talk about it. Let's see here. Look at your passport. It looks like it says Han Solo.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We're coming up on the end mark. We could go for hours and hours, fellas. Do we have any final overarching thoughts or remarks about Crisis Core: Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation Portable?
The soundtrack. We didn't really talk much about the soundtrack, other than just when we talked to interactions with
and how it
Zach
shreds.
Cloud. But overall, this game is so awesome. The battle music, the electric guitar is like, it's like just destroying. Oh man, so good. And then, or even like the themes from Final Fantasy VII coming in, like obviously there's Sephiroth's like song when you're fighting him at the end, and even throughout there's just like little twinkles
Aerith.
of like stuff like that. Yeah, Aerith's theme. It's like, oh man, it's so freaking good. So I thought the soundtrack was phenomenal. I mean, I fell in love with the remake soundtrack. I was listening to that soundtrack like nonstop after I played that game, and this one might be one I add to my playlist as well.
Yes.
Rad. Jeremy?
The one of the things that we didn't talk about is something that games very much known for, like super known for, is that weird spinny wheelie system they have for the combat.
Oh, the DMW.
The DMW. The DMW is I feel like you don't ever figure it out until you're done with the game. Like, it's like at the very end. It's like you're like always going like, how does it work? Do I
still don't understand.
Is it random?
Yeah. And it's weird because you level up that way. So then the whole game, you're just like, I have no idea when I'm going to level up. Like, it could be now. It could be next.
It could be 10 battles from now. It could be the end of the game.
Yeah. Definitely something that I've already seen in the trailer of the remake. They're going to maybe get rid of or do differently. Because the battle system already looks like different enough for me to go.
It seems like they're trying to style it after 7 Remake.
Yeah.
To try to
which would be fantastic. I love 7 Remake.
Right move. That's the right move. Because I would deal with it, but I wouldn't love doing that battle system again. I think it's like would be greatly improved by like a better one.
I feel like that was them trying to cut the fat of a lot of the normal battle system, just because they were like, if we're downsizing the entire game to put it on PSP, then let's downsize everything about it, make it so you can pick it up, put it down. You don't have to learn a whole lot. So because people aren't going to be on the system a lot. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
so,
and even with like just having not a lot of clutter on your screen. Like imagine if those were all like spells or abilities or summons that you could open up a menu and another menu and another menu. Like when you're like 3 menus in and it's taking up half the screen or whatever on the
and you still have to move around the battlefield.
Yeah, it's like it makes sense for what they were doing. But I'm right there with you. Jeremy was like, "What the heck is happening?" Yeah. Like, oh great, I leveled up. Cool. I don't know what I did. Like,
oh, I got 4. I got 3 Sephiroths. Yes, it's like but it's like you didn't pick it. Yeah, it was weird. It's a weird thing.
So is there an answer though? Like, do you control it or is it random? Because sometimes it felt like I controlled it, and other times it's like I don't know what just happened.
The way I play, it always felt random to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's certain go arounds, like maybe every, they have it pre-programmed in the background. Like, okay, we're gonna give them a level at this time when it goes around, like the 25th time, and then the 47th time, and then. So that they have a consistent way of leveling you up, but you just don't know it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that would make sense.
And then like certain cutscenes like definitely have to play in certain battles in that battle system. Like you have to get the three clouds when you're fighting Sephiroth. Like you have to get certain things because it's story based. so it's like that's another weird layer, is that the battle system is deeply connected to the story and influenced by the story.
Yeah.
It's random until it's not.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, look, not really, not a complaint. It was a lot to look at. It's like whoa, but it's like a casino battle always. But yeah, I definitely, if they migrated to that Final Fantasy VII remake battle system, I wouldn't complain at all.
I would. And I very much loved the 7 remake battle system, and so I'm like, okay, if we can get more of that, that'd be great. So
yeah,
I hope we get some more in line with that, but we'll see. There might be remnants. It would be cool to get something.
I was gonna say, I feel like it has its merits.
That has a little bit of a callback to it. Like maybe it's not exactly the same, but that would be cool. Like a certain time of a battle, you can hit a button, and maybe it happens once. Like it's like your break point kind of attack or something like that. You fill up a bar and then you hit it, and then it just spins around, and that would be kind of fun. But otherwise, I don't want that every like 30 seconds of spinning around.
Yeah, I don't know. I may have said that wrong, but I agree with you. That is exactly how I feel. I want the FF7 remake battle system. Yeah, I'm pretty keen on it. Also, just like in general as a battle system for any game. I'm playing Bayonetta 2 right now, and it's just like, yeah, it's cool. It's like another way to do that kind of a thing. But it's like, man, I love that FF7 remake battle system.
It's a mixture of turn-based and active.
My
How
two
did they
favorite
manage
things.
that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for myself, at the end of the day, I cherish this game. I think it is a treasure as far as not only JRPGs go, but it is one of the first things I think about when I think about PSP. I think it was definitely a hallmark game for that system. And I am stoked with this new remake or the reunion that more people are going to get access to it. And I am looking forward to seeing my boy Zach get out there in the mainstream, because everybody I've talked to, or I should say, everybody I've talked to either thinks he's the coolest guy in the world or he's a heartthrob. And I can see him, finally coming into his era of acceptance as the guy.
Yeah. Now we're doing a book club for when the remake comes out, right?
Yeah. You coming back?
Same cast? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Get me back. Put me in coach anytime. Anytime you guys want me about any video game. I love them. But this is really special. So it's it's a good one. Yeah, I definitely want to. I'm gonna play it day one. I'm there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We just happened to pick this like for a book club. We had been talking about it for a while. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I texted him too. I was like,
some great SEO right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was like, do you want to maybe wait? He's like, no, I'm already like halfway through. Let's just keep going. I said, okay. Fellas, thank you for hopping on to talk a little Crisis Core with me. I appreciate you coming to hang out and just kind of shoot the breeze about a pivotal, or what is soon to be pivotal. Come on, brain. We're almost there. We're almost at the end. Pivotal moment in the Final Fantasy VII saga. Mr. Schmidt, where can the good folks find you and what you're doing?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ocarina of Crime. It is there where I'll like talk about like episodes of stuff and advertise all the shows and whatever. And then listen to my podcast, Video Games, a Comedy Show. It is just a sort of a roundtable panel show where we pick a topic and then sometimes not even that and just go for 2.5 hours on nonsense. It's a real good time over there. We love it. We're about to hit our episode 200. So that's going to be a big landmark for me personally. Doing 200 of one thing is it's as terrifying as it is exciting. But yeah, watch, listen to Video Games, a Comedy Show.
Right on, my good man. Well, congratulations on almost hitting that milestone. Garrett, you and I are always here. If they're here,
here.
they know how to find us at this
And
point.
if you don't, just go to supergamerboys.com. You'll find all the links to YouTube
To
channel,
everything.
to podcast, to everything, to JJ's wrestling show, even if you're into that kind of thing.
Apparently, people are. They're listening to it.
They love it. They love it.
But of course, everyone, this is another one in the can. Thank you for hanging out with us, with me. Thank you for continuing to put it up with me and my overzealousness about games that I love that nobody pays attention to. And I will see you back here on the next one. I guess I can go ahead and tell them what we're doing. We are playing the... Now, you want to talk about a hidden gem? This one is for real a hidden gem because nobody talks... When I bring this up, everybody goes, oh, I think I saw a commercial for that back then.
All right, let's see.
But we are playing Star Wars Republic Commando.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a first-person shooter where you take the lead of a clone trooper elite squad. And I really dug this game when I played it when it came out on the original Xbox. And I think you will too. I think the story is better than people who just look at the cover realize. And I'll leave it at that. So until next time, thank you for joining us. We are out of here. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Nice.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed the episode. As a reminder, if you want to catch any of the new episodes the first Friday that they come out of every month, you can find them only on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/supergamerboys. And don't forget to check out our main episodes too. Those are pretty cool if I say so myself. All right, we're out of here. Peace.